Yeah, I was gonna come to you.
Oh, I saved your trip. What's up?
I'm sorry to do this, but I'm afraid I have to book you on a felony.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where I will be doing another episode recap for today's Days of Our Lives. Today is Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. We're almost at 4th of July. Hope you guys are doing well. So let's dive into this, right? So the first scene we see is Kate coming in, just delivering some flowers for Paulina, just checking in on everybody. She feels sorry for what happened to Johnny and Chanel and is there for them if they need it. So she was asking, where's Paulina? So Abe tells her that Paulina is actually at the hospital getting some answers, right, as to what could have caused the miscarriage, right? So of course, apart from that, they start discussing more about their business ventures because if you recall, they wanted to do some business together, right? So then we see the next scene where Paulina is at the hospital. She sees Kayla, and Kayla offers her, condolences for what happened to Johnny and Chanel. And then Paulina just can't seem to understand how it happened, if she really was the cause of Chanel having that miscarriage. So she asks Kayla if she can run some tests, since she has more experience than Dr. Green, no offense, but, she wants to know some expert advice on this. So Kayla is just willing to do that, because she says miscarriages doesn't have to solely be because of that radiation exposure. It could be because of other factors, right? Because the radiation levels were low, but Paulina wanted to ease her conscience. So Kayla understands. So Kayla says she will be running those tests. So we see Johnny and Chanel. Johnny came back in with some food and Chanel is there. She told him about some dream that she had where they were celebrating their baby shower. They were going to find out, what's the gender like, because at that point they didn't know the gender, and that her mom bought several gifts of blue and pink. And, she started breaking down. Johnny started breaking down. It was just really, really, really sad, right? So at this point, they're like, they will never know the gender. They will never get to hold that baby. It's just heartbreaking to see them go through it. Honestly, I was like, oh no, this is just as even sad as when Nicole found out that she couldn't get to hold her baby after, right? She thought the baby was dead. So it's just bringing me back to that point. It's just really heartbreaking, folks. So we see the next scene where Marlena and Stephanie are at the penthouse, right? So Marlena is like, she's glad that her dad is out and doing well, and Stephanie is like, she and her mom Kayla is just making sure that he takes care of himself. But Stephanie says, you didn't bring me over here for just this, right? So Marlena is like, no. So Stephanie said, oh, this is about Everett. So she's saying that since Everett doesn't have any family here, Stephanie is the closest thing to family, and maybe she can help with getting Everett back and separating Everett and Bobby, right? So they said that they have time now, so they're willing to go over to see Bobby / Everett and see how best they can get Everett back, right? So if you see the video before, at the beginning of this video recap, right, you would see that Jada told Steve to come down, right? So she was going to go over there to see him because he's just coming out of the hospital. But Steve said, I'll let it easy for you. I'm here, right? So what's up? So Jada says, I'm sorry, but I have to book you on some charges. So he's already aware that he has something to do with Clyde, right? So he said, about Clyde being released from prison, right? My involvement, right? So Jada is like, yeah, do you have any other felonies? And he said, not that I know of. So she has to book him, right? So that is where they go into the interrogation room, and then Jada continues there, right? So we go on back to the next scene where we see Johnny and Chanel, right? And Johnny and Chanel started talking about Johnny's career and in LA, and if the director still wants to work with him. So Johnny said that he did leave him a message last night, but he didn't get back to him. But then a phone call came in, and it was from the director. So he was still interested in going out there, but then the director told him that it's not going to work out. He found somebody else, so then that is tanked. But Johnny is not upset about it because he knows he needs to be with Chanel, and this is where he wants to be, right? Was still pushing him to go, but Johnny said no, he wants to be there to support his wife as he should, right? So we go back to these two, right? Jada and Steve, and Jada is just asking him if there was anybody else there because she saw the footage and she saw two people in hazmat suits, Steve and somebody else. So she's asking if it's Ava or Steve, or did you act alone? So Steve is still adamant that it was just him alone. It wasn't John, it wasn't Ava. So Jada is like, why are you protecting Ava? And after everything she put you and Kayla through, why are you doing this? Because she's Tripp's mom. So, he said that, he's not doing it for her or anything like that because he cannot trust her. He would not, if it was down to the nitty gritty, he wouldn't trust her to have his back. So he was still trying to put up that front. Again, Jada sees right through it, but Jada says, okay, let it be. I just hope that the bail can, that Justin can really get you off of these charges because, again, you were acting in protection of your son, right? You had no choice. So we see Chanel and Johnny right there getting ready to leave the hospital. Chanel is being discharged. So Paulina goes over to them and said, you're being discharged? And they say, yeah, they got to go. They really didn't want to talk to her. And then she just begged for some minutes to talk to Chanel. Chanel was not in the mood to listen to her, but or talk, but she begged them for some time. And then she just wanted to apologize, if she has caused any pain to her. She just feels bad about it, something that she's going to regret for the rest of her life. And she understands if Chanel does not want to talk to her, right? So Chanel was just ready to leave at this point. But then Kayla comes in. Kayla said that she ran some tests. Well, Dr. Green ran some tests and then she reviewed the findings. And it turns out that the radiation was not the cause of Chanel's miscarriage. It was doomed from the start. So there was some sort of condition that affected the pregnancy from conception. So it was just not viable, right? So it was a relief in a sense. And Chanel and Paulina, for Chanel and Paulina's relationship, right? So they're relieved because of that. But again, it's bittersweet because they really were looking forward to this baby being born, right? And then they also said, Kayla also said that she wanted to monitor Chanel for the couple of months just to ensure that everything was okay, right? So we see Bobby / Everett, Marlena, and Stephanie, and they're there to confront Bobby and, trying to get through them so that Everett can come back, right? So Stephanie is trying to appeal to him, and, Bobby's in control. Bobby does not want Stephanie to get to Everett, and he's the gatekeeper. He's protecting Everett, and he's like, he's better off with us, Stephanie. And then Stephanie at some point loses control. She doesn't hold it together, and it just turns out into a big mess. And Bobby's like, you guys need to go because the more you push, the more it's going to be more volatile, right? So I mean, again, I'm not really truly interested in the DID thing since Abby / Gabby. It was so annoying to me, but I will still recap it because it was a part of the episode, but I'm not feeling the storyline at all. So we see Kate and Abe, right? And they had coffee and they're just talking about their business ventures, going into television production because they just miss doing business together, right? They worked in the mayor's office together. And they both have experience running businesses, right? Being in charge. So they said, all right. Abe said, okay, if we're going into TV production, let's talk about soap opera production, right? A lot of things in culture today are borrowed from soap operas, right? So he started to play some episodes of Body and Soul, that soap parody that they are involved in, right? So he started playing it for her and she started getting interested in it, right? So we go back to Pauline and Chanel, and as you can see in the picture here, they're relieved, they hug it out, and Pauline is just gonna be there for her daughter through this time, right? and Chanel is just relieved that it wasn't her fault. You know, you know how close they are as mom and daughter. So this was really heartwarming to see, right? I didn't mention that Kayla said she was gonna monitor her, and Paulina asked if it can be done remote because they're moving, but then Johnny and Chanel said they're no longer moving, they're staying here. So of course that brings joy to Paulina, because Paulina did not want them to leave at this point, and we're happy to actually have them here. But honestly, sad about the baby not being there, right? We wanted a Janelle baby, honestly. So we see in the next scene where Kayla is at the pub, and I like this pink dress that Kayla has on, right? She sees Kate, and Kate is, you know, just telling her that she's doing some research on some business she and Abe is gonna do, right? So she said they're going into making a soap opera, and Kayla said, "Oh, so you guys have experience." So Kate is saying she's doing some more research on it, and then she finds out that according to Soap Opera Digest, the Body and Soul soap opera got canceled, right? So she said Abe is not gonna like this at all. So that is it for this scene. So we move on to the next scene, right? Paulina comes home to Abe, and Paulina fills in Abe on what happened, and she said that she told Abe what was really the cause of Chanel's miscarriage, and then he said, "Oh, so you're really not to blame about it." So they rejoice about that, and she also tells Abe that Johnny and Chanel are no longer moving, right? So he's like, "Yes, so you guys can just really be there for each other through this ordeal, right? And you know, it's not gonna take a long time to be forgiven. So all's well that ends well, right?" So we move on to the next scene. Johnny and Chanel are back home, and you know, they're just trying to just be there for each other, comfort each other. That is all that's happening. And you know, Chanel just comes to term that the pregnancy was not meant to be. She's just relieved that it was not her fault or her mom's fault. So they just be there for each other, right? And let's see what happens with the two of them in, you know, episodes to come. So that's it for them. Let's go on to the next scene. So we see Bobby slash Everett working out, right? And Everett is trying to appeal to him and saying, "How could you tell Stephanie like that? I really like her, right? I'm really interested in her." And Bobby's like, "No, you can do so much better than Stephanie Johnson, and I'm in control." And that is where we leave it, right? Them just conflicting with each other at this point. Inner battle. In the last scene, we see Stephanie come to the station, right? She sees Jada, and she tells Jada that, you know, we're losing Everett, and you're the only hope at this point. You need to talk to your ex-husband, Bobby, and, you know, let him get to terms that, you know, Everett needs to come back, right? So that is where it ends, and that is it for today's episode recap. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. See you tomorrow for the next episode recap. All right, bye.